Hi, welcome back. So here's the situation, okay? Because we have a situation here.
Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm.
What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay calm.
I'm not equipped to be this advanced content creator. So when I go to make these videos for you guys and for myself, I have no idea where to put my camera because I originally wanted this whole Redhead Chronicle page to be me reviewing books in bed because I do probably 99.9% of my activities in bed. Except for eating, I do not eat in bed. I love to read in bed. I do work in bed. What else do I do during the day? I'm not even working right now. If you know me, you know that I'm also unemployed, so I don't know what I'm talking about. But the lighting in my room is shite, okay? It's just not, it's not cutting it. So we're in my guest room, and this is just a total disclaimer, okay? You might hear some crying, and that's because me and my husband, as the loving parents that we are, we have gifted our children of 2 kitties this guest room to be their own. So they feel genuinely entitled to this room. They are convinced this is their room. And again, I'm not equipped to do this whole video thing. So I don't have a video stand or anything to put my phone on. So I'm using the cat tree. And the lighting was really good in this room, okay? So I kind of took it over from them, even though this is our guest room, okay? Anyways, they don't pay rent, so, but they kind of run my entire life. I'm in here using the cat tree as a phone stand, and I'm in their room with the door closed. Because if they were in here, they'd be climbing all over the cat tree, and they'd be literally shaking the camera it took me 3 hours to find the best lighting, and this is the best we got, okay? This is it. So if you're like, okay, this isn't that great, you don't know what I've been working with here. I'm not letting them in. But if you hear crying, just know they are not neglected kitties, okay? Pee-Pee Jones and Mimi, they are very spoiled children. They're spoiled. And they cannot be in here because mommy is finally doing something for herself. She's finally not slaving away for her kitty children. If you hear crying, you just literally look the other way. Look the other way. Okay, also this chair is really squeaky and I don't know if you can hear it or not, but it's scaring me because it took me a long time to get to this point and I don't want to redo anything that I've done already. I'm gonna be like a statue. This month I read, okay, I don't know if you're the type of person who considers audiobooks not reading. I finished 5 books. I was able to do that because I am unemployed and
I'm not convinced I know how to read. I've just memorized a lot of words.
2 of them were audiobooks, okay? I'm not a fast reader. I am actually a fairly new reader. I just so happen to fall in love with books, and now I want to talk about books all the time. It's kind of this crazy disease that I have. So a lot of these books this month, and that I will probably talk about in all my videos forever, are books you've already heard about, books you've already seen videos on, and things that have been out for a minute that you're like, okay, girl, we've been there, done that. But I have not been there, and I have not been doing that. This is me here, and this is me doing it now. So you're welcome to listen, or you're welcome to... I am not a fast reader, but again, I've been reading in bed for hours every day because I'm extremely privileged and I've been able to do that. Starting in June, I will not be unemployed anymore. So this month I got to town. I was just, I wasn't skimming, but I was hitting the pages for hours. And I keep looking over. If you see my eyes going down here, it's because I finally have decided to come prepared to these things. I'm not winging it anymore. I have some notes. I'm an individual who acts with integrity and purpose and completion, and I'm prepared and I do not procrastinate. If I look down in the corner, it's because I'm looking at my notes, which I don't even have notes on what I'm talking about right now, to be honest. I'm just like, okay, what am I gonna do? So I got to town this month and I finished 5 books, and this is what we're talking about. It's gonna be me. Let's get going and let's hear about these books you've probably heard about a million times, but you've never heard about them from me, so it might be different, right? Okay, first book. Oh, I don't have any of these books, by the way. Like I said, 2 of them are audiobooks, and the other 3 are in a package being sent to my long distance BFF book swap group. First book I read in May was The Vanishing Half. I rated it a 5 out of 5 stars. I absolutely loved this book. I would reread it tomorrow, but there's so much for me to read. I will come back to it. I think next year is going to be my rereading journey, where I just want to pick some of the books that really hit and touched me in certain ways. Okay, what? I don't know. I'm the only one making this weird. I'm the only one in this room. Is about identical twin sisters, Desiree and Stella, who are born in a southern Black community. The people in this community are African American, but both Desiree and Stella are so light-skinned that they can actually pass as white. And so this doesn't really matter necessarily until after the twin sisters decide to leave Mallard when they're 16, and they run away and they disappear. And then what happens to them afterwards is like the rest of the book. So one of the sisters decides to live her life as a white woman, and the other sister actually decides to go back home, and she lives with her Black daughter in Mallard for pretty much the next 20 or so years, so a good amount of her life. These twins are so completely tied in every way up until they're 16 that their lives never feel the same, because they are constantly feeling like they lost a part of themselves because they do decide to live these separate lives. So the book really explores just all of these outstanding themes of class, racism, family dynamics, loss, grief, relationships. It was so captivating from start to finish. I absolutely loved it. I don't want to say too much more because I would hate to ruin it for somebody. I think that that's all I want to say on it for now. Second book that I finished this month was an audiobook. I listened to Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby by Shelby Van Pelt. It was a really good book to listen on Audible, I think. I really enjoyed it, especially because it has so many different POVs. I rated it a 3.75 out of 5, which is the first time I've ever done something other than like a whole or a half number, because I felt extremely conflicted with my rating. At first, I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars, and I would say I'm not a super harsh critic, but I have some books, like my 5-star rating is something that sometimes is like, okay, this book changed my life and I felt every single emotion possible, and I think that every person on this planet should read it. And then some 5 stars are like, I enjoyed this so much more than I thought I was going to, and I'm still thinking about it. But maybe I didn't laugh, cry. I wasn't laughing, I wasn't crying, I wasn't shocked, I wasn't the whole time, you know what I mean? But it still deserves a 5 in my eyes because it's something I'll always think about. I'll still recommend it, but if you choose not to read it, I'm not going to be like, you read this book right now, or I'm going to take this something and I'm going to do something with it. So my 5 is a little bit iffy. In my opinion, was slightly overhyped, okay? And I'm sorry to say that. I'm not saying it wasn't a good book. I just think that some of the characters could have been developed so much more to have it hit that much harder, because the characters really drive the story at the end of the day. This widow named Tova, I believe she's in her 70s, and she takes on a position at this local aquarium because her husband passes away, and she does it purely out of just like wanting something to do. She doesn't necessarily need the money, but she just like wants to get out of the house, and she wants to get up and moving, and everybody in her life is like, girl, retire, you know, you don't need to do this. Like, she has a group of friends, and they're like, we'll give you money, and she just lets everybody know that this is just something she actually loves doing, and she's pretty much the janitor of this aquarium. So she meets and cares for, what is his name? Marcellus. He's the Pacific octopus, and he is an extremely intelligent creature, okay? Like, he knows that all of the little kids that come up and touch his glass and leave a fingerprint, he knows exactly, like, he can remember the fingerprint to a T. If he sees that fingerprint on a piece of trash on the floor, because he loves to escape his enclosure, he'll know exactly who it belongs to, even without seeing somebody drop it. Like, there are so many things that he does that and says, and from his point of view reiterates, that you know he's just this extremely intelligent man, but his days are short. He's a little bit Pacific octopus don't live that long, so he's already been alive for, I believe, 3 years, and he's on his way out, and he knows that his days are short, and he ends up observing and connecting with Tova at some point. And so it's just kind of the thing that I absolutely love about this book is there's these point of views and these characters that connect, and you in the beginning have no idea how their like stories are going to hit and align, but somehow they do. And there were literally moments in the book where I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool, or wow, like my heart just feels so warm, or I feel this like sense of closure, which I loved about the book. But you just want them to have this moment of realization, and like you want this closure, and you want them to come together, and maybe a few of the characters know about it but others don't, and so you're just waiting and waiting and waiting for them to finally realize it. And I think it just lost its effect. I also think a lot of the characters I didn't really care about. They could have been developed so much more. And so bottom line is that I have not thought about it since, but I did really enjoy reading it. Okay, so unfortunately I filmed these videos on my iPhone, and halfway through I just checked, it said that I don't have enough storage, so I had to go through and delete a ton of videos. So I kind of lost you.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that I covered everything up until my last 2 books. So my 4th book that I read this month was The Bullet That Missed, the 3rd book in the Thursday Murder Club series by Richard Osman. And I loved this book. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. I think the reason why, I mean, the other books in the series have been a 5 out of 5 for me, or close to it, just because it's about this group of older adults who live in just an older community that's called Cooper's Chase, and they meet on Thursdays to uncover and reopen these cold cases or murder cases, and they kind of look them over and see if they can figure them out. And it's just a very cozy read for me. I love them so dearly because they bring light to an underserved population, I feel like. I think the older adults are just frankly overlooked, and I think that this like makes them lively and young, and also just portrays the reality of what it is to grow old and how important it is to have friends. And I just think that the group itself is the core of these books. And the third book, unfortunately, the one that I read this month, just kind of missed the mark for me. I think that it was extremely character heavy, but not main character heavy. There were a lot of secondary and outside characters that were lingering from the first couple books that I didn't care about as much. That wasn't as effective for me, but I love the series and I always will. And that's why I gave it 4 out of 5. Project Hail Mary. This book, I would say this and The Wedding People were tied for my favorite book of this month, let alone maybe this year. I don't know what's to come, but 2 of my favorite books of all time, I would say. Project Hail Mary is my first sci-fi read, and it really was so impactful for me, I think. Sorry, this chair is just driving me nuts. I know I keep saying that, and I'm so sorry, but I can't go back now. I have no other chairs that are this size to do this in this way. This is it. This is all I got. So, Project Hail Mary, I rated 5 out of 5 stars. I loved this book. I also listened to it on Audible, which I think was actually extremely effective. I would highly recommend the audiobook. I think, in general, I always prefer to read. But this one has a lot of numbers, a lot of science, scientific method, equations, chemistry, physics, all the stuff. And which made it extremely effective. It was very informative. It wasn't boring, but I think I enjoyed it even more because I had the Audible, which I think is done very well. And it added the sarcasm and the normalcy of it all, that, you know, you're listening to it like you're just like listening to the weather. You know, it's not something that seems like something you can't comprehend, because it was delivered in a way that's very digestible, which I thought helped me enjoy the book even more. It's about Ryland Grace, he is a teacher / professor, and he wakes up floating on a ship in space, and he has no memory or recollection of anything. So he basically is just, the whole book is him going back and forth between his memories of all of the events that happened prior to this big launch with him on the Hail Mary. And he is accompanied by a few members who are no longer alive. And so he wakes up from a coma and is basically trying to figure out exactly what happened. And I love that, like, nothing is what it seems in this book. There was a lot of development over his character. I think a lot of self-discovery. I think that there was a lot of connection. There was so much that it was done in such a way that was so realistic, like it could happen at any moment with us on Earth. And these decisions and these things are made so last minute that, like, the people who are running this, there's so much pressure. And I think that you could feel that in every step of the way. I was so enthralled by the whole thing, because I had no idea which way it was going to go. I'm like, either, you know, Earth is going to die and blow up, or he's going to die and blow up in space, or, you know, X, Y, and Z is going to go wrong, and he's going to be, like, everything's going to be lost forever on the suicide mission that he'll never be able to explain or know who he is. And I think that there were just so many questions, and the ending was so freaking good. I don't think I could have predicted or hoped for a better ending, to be honest. So anyways, because my phone is being kind of crazy, let's see, it's still letting me record, but I'm definitely weary, so I'm gonna let you go. Thanks for letting me share this with you, or even just listening to me blab, and I will be back soon with my next video. His name is Percy, but he goes by PP Johnson. Ow, when he's being meanie boy. PP Jonathan, PP George, PP John, PP Johns. Hey, you need to be a good boy. I had to give the kitties their room back, okay? I have to tell you this quick because I don't have any storage left, and I don't even know if this is recording. But basically, The other book I read this month was The Wedding People. It is about our girl Phoebe. She goes to this inn in Rhode Island, and she is planning on having these couple beautiful nights, and she doesn't know that the inn is rented out by this wedding party that's like $1 million wedding. And she runs into the bride, and the bride's like, look, you're not derailing my wedding. And she's like, you're not derailing my cat hair everywhere. You're not derailing my trip that I planned. You know, I paid a lot of money to be here, and I'm going to stay. And so it's basically about their whole time together. And oh, Bobby, Pee-Pee Johnston, Pee-Pee Jonathan boy, you go over there if you're gonna be me boy. Anyways, I loved it. 5 out of 5, recommend.